time period was 1778. Baron von Steuben from Prussia comes to America to aid George Washington in the American Revolutionary Forces. The pay that Baron von Steuben was to receive was absolutely nothing. Absolutely nothing. So he's a true American patriot, unlike the Hessians that were hired mercenaries by the British. Baron von Steuben took the cause of the underdog, who was down and beaten and trodden, whereby they were highly ill-disciplined at the time, and he turned them into an effective fighting force. This is Erich von Steuben. So, Baron von Steuben, excuse me. Baron von Steuben arrives Valley Forge 1778, February 23rd. Originally, he was from Prussia. He joined the army at 17 and saw extensive service during the 7 Years' War in battles with Russia and Austria, where Prussia was fighting Russia and Austria. He rose to the rank of captain and was made a personal aide to Frederick the Great. So the military downsized, and you heard that before, and von Steuben was finally let go. So he took a job overseas in the household of the prince, but continued to look for employment in foreign armies. Eventually got recommended to Benjamin Franklin, and finally to George Washington. So he had extensive knowledge in Prussian military techniques. So he went to America free of pay. Free of pay. So he arrived in 1778, 1777. By 1778, he joined up with Washington at Valley Forge. So this had a lot to do with why Washington was able to win Valley Forge, besides the stroke of luck that there was a blizzard going on during Christmas that the Hessians didn't realize, the British mercenaries did not think that Washington would attack in such a blizzard. And the methods he employed was, he would train 100 men. This is what von Steuben would do. He would train 100 men, and then those 100 men, once they got trained thoroughly, those 100 men would become teachers and train others, who then again trained others. So within a few weeks, or several weeks, the Continental Army was transferred from a group of farmers with different levels of skill into a formidable fighting force. So Washington started to allow von Steuben to be in charge of forces, the American forces, and made him a permanent inspector general, and with a rank of major general. So during the Battle of Monmouth, which is in New Jersey, which was the first major battle after the winter of Valley Forge, von Steuben's techniques were very successful when the Americans fought against the British toe-to-toe. So then he also prepared regulations for order and discipline of the troops, which is effective for many decades to come, all the way up until the War of 1812. So this guy was, and he also assisted in the Southern Theater, General Nathaniel Greene. Now you'll notice there's even a town not a town, but a county in Tennessee, Greene, and named after Nathaniel Greene. So von Steuben is a true American patriot that was not born here. He eventually became an American, but he took the cause of the underdog. There was no pay involved. There was extreme risk to himself, and he believed in the cause. Obviously, it wasn't just because he wanted to get into a fight. He actually believed in the American cause. So he was just as much of an American patriot as the people that lived here. And sometimes that's why you gotta like look for angles where people may not be of your country, but they're for your country. We could probably have people in Ukraine or something that are very pro-American. As an example, I don't know, it could be other countries, other parts, it could be Japan too. And if we ever need help, to accept their help. But von Steuben was very instrumental in totally transforming the Continental Army. He actually helped improve the sanitary conditions too, which was a major problem, because the sanitary conditions, a lot of times in war, it's not even the bullets that kill most of the soldiers, it's actually disease. And a lot of that disease comes from not just lack of food or malnutrition, but sanitary conditions. So he improved the sanitary conditions and also, everything across the board, including dining facilities. And he set up strict regulations for that. A lot of people ignore that because, when you look in the movie theaters, you always see, the bullets flying back and forth, and that's where the wounding happens. Actually, most of the time in warfare, nothing's going on. And it's during these day-to-day activities, if you're not careful, a lot of illnesses can spread throughout the camp that can be very deadly. And you can lose a lot of people or have a lot of people incapacitated where they're no longer in fighting condition. And, von Steuben was very instrumental in fixing that problem too, which is going on. But he transformed the American Continental Army into an effective fighting force. A lot of people don't know about him. I mean, maybe they do in the older generations, but I'm not sure how well things are being taught in schools today about von Steuben, who was a Prussian originally, but he came to this country and he came to he came into an area with an army that was nearly defeated, starving, ill-prepared, outnumbered, and ill-equipped. And he took charge of this, used his knowledge, extensive knowledge of Prussian military techniques, and he did all this for nothing. Now, eventually he did get rewarded with pay, and also he got rewarded with land, I think it was in New York State, where he eventually settled. But this was not until he was able to transform the Americans into an effective fighting force and show that he was extremely useful to the cause. Now, a lot of people probably don't know about him. I think, like I said, the older generations do, but possibly the younger generations don't know about him. It's a Prussian Erich von Steuben. Now, this picture might have been taken, his portrait might have been taken a little bit during more of his later years. And, I just want to point this out. A lot of times you even look at the pictures of George Washington or Thomas Jefferson or John Hancock or, all these different leaders that we had in the American Revolution. And you see these paintings, and you can see an older man in the painting, right? Well, during the time of the American Revolution, these were young people. They were young men. They were in their 20s or early 30s. The only one that was older was Ben Franklin. Pretty much everybody else was, I'd say, an average age of the late 20s. So, these people really put a lot into establishing what you call a limited government, which you can see today has gone right off the rails. It really has. It's changed so radically, and so many things have been allowed to slide by that we have lost, the vision of what this country was formed about. But if you look at how this country was formed, it was not, it was not easy. It was not just it was through great sacrifice and individual heroism. You got to stand on your own 2 feet, or else you're going to get bowled over. And, those in power have basically an insatiable appetite for even more power. That's one of the problems you have with, well, as Lord Acton said, power corrupts and absolute power corrupts absolutely. But today, what you have today is an overbearingly large government with way too much power, probably more overbearing than a time when Great Britain was around and they were pushing the intolerable acts, which today we got a set of laws that are probably more intolerable than that. And, quite obviously, to give it right up to the current time here, the Trump mystique is not the answer. I know he's doing some things right, but it's a lot more talk than action. And, that's really what it is. It's marketing. Marketing, I did it, but I really didn't do it. I'm putting this on in this video because I want people to be aware that you just can't have one person come in there on a white horse and fix everything for you. You got to stand on your own 2 feet. And if you stand up to tyrants, you might lose, you might win, but you're going to lose if you don't stand up to them. That's what it comes down to. So, I just want to praise this one hero that a lot of people don't know about, Baron von Steuben from Prussia. Came to this country. I guess you would say he was an immigrant, right? But he came to this country extremely well qualified with a life-threatening job, like a job where he could have got killed, or he could have been died from one of the diseases in the camps that was going around and because of unsanitary conditions, and he took this job for nothing. Now, talk about a steadfast, true pro-American immigrant. It would have been Baron von Steuben. Actually, we should probably have a holiday after this guy, to tell you the truth. You know what? This guy, to me, is one of the great American heroes of all time, because he had no invested interest in financial vested interest. Let me put it this way: financial vested interest in breaking free from the British. It was a fight that had nothing to do with him. He was not a merchant in America. He was not suffering under the intolerable acts. He was not part of anything, taxation systems or whatever that King George was levying on the colonists. He wasn't part of that. He did not come here and seek rewards. He was here honestly for the cause. If there's one immigrant I could really say, this guy is an American. No, he became an American, but he originally came as an immigrant. But you look at how hard he fought for this country, and he had extensive knowledge. This guy was a captain and a direct aide to Frederick the Great. This guy had extensive military knowledge. Without him, we probably would not have been able to break free from England and establish what was at the time the limited government of the United States of America. But that goes to show you that there are those of the same ideology across the entire world, and we can help each other out. There's those that yearn to be free from a government that is overbearing and tyrannical. And von Steuben was one of those type of people, and he helped us a great deal. Probably George Washington would not have been able to be successful at Valley Forge if it was not for Prussian Baron von Steuben. Over and out.